got a kid, so I'm doing okay with the car, and I'm that's very good.
Hi, my name is Arpan Dasgupta. I picked up this Pajero Sport sometime in June 2019, and since then I've driven it across about 13,000 kilometers so far. I find it way far ahead than any other SUVs that we see on the road today. I bought a second-hand car, and a new vehicle would cost you close to about 30 to 31 lakhs. I picked a 2016 model and I paid about 12 and a half lakhs for this car. And this car was done about what, 48,000. So 48,000 for this kind of a vehicle is like it's a 2.4 liter turbo diesel engine. It's got a 4x4 manual mechanism, and the interesting part is there is also something called as LLC in this vehicle. The highway mileage on this car hovers to from a 9 kilometers per liter to a 14 kilometers per liter, depending upon how you're driving. Like I told you, if I put it on a cruise control mode, I can easily get about 14 as a mileage on the highway. But on a city with AC on, I constantly get between 9 to 10 kilometers per liter. I think that's a fair enough for such a big beast, a 10,000 kilometer mileage, and you do a service. And a regular service costs you about 10 and a half grand if you go to the authorized workshop. Before I actually went to take this car, I did a lot of contemplation, checked out all the new models that were there in the market. If you ask me, I'm not talking about the Fortuners or the Endeavours. If you ask me, I kept a budget of about 20 lakhs with me. And you name a car in the market today, all of them are all chui mui cars. I don't want to be with them. So that's how I decided this. And I think this is meant for all purpose, whether it is a family outing, whether it is a bachelor's outing, whether it is a travel outing, whether it is a hobby outing. If you look at Mitsubishi Pajero vehicle, you will only find enthusiasts who are interested in buying it.
Which is very surprising, yes, actually.
And the reason why I talk about enthusiast is, first of all, the first notion is, yeah, it's very expensive to maintain. Yeah, the parts are very costly. The enthusiast will always vouch for this car. The reason why is because the purpose for which it is built, the purpose for which we are driving, the passion that we carry across, and everything and anything. And today, every time when I look at a forum where we have the 4x4 community talking to each other, there is a comparison between 2-3 vehicles at the max, which is a Pajero, a Fortuner, or an Endeavour. The Endeavour is winning the game today because of all the charismas that it's carrying inside, all the techmatic things that it's actually got, the road presence that it has, and the kind of power that it is bringing across. But from a mileage standpoint, it certainly kills the bill altogether. Fortuner, no brainer. Somebody who wants to buy a Fortuner will say, I don't want to do anything but just switch on the vehicle, drive, come back, give it to a workshop, and have a peace of mind. Now, when it comes to Pajero, the challenge that we face always, yaar, workshops nahi hai. Parts source करना मुश्किल है, and all these stories that happen.
हिंदुस्तानी problem है, गाड़ी लेने से पहले resales होते हैं.
Exactly. So the biggest challenge is सबसे पहले resale देखो, and that's how it is. And the people who are enthusiasts, let me tell you that they are enjoying this moment, because when I go to buy a Pajero, I will first think that it's already established its brand in the market. Today, when I look at it, any condition that you drive in, any country that you drive in, it's perfect because it doesn't need any kind of modification or any kind of changes for the terrain in which you're driving.
This is a liver driven 4x4.
Yes. From 2 high, which is a 2-wheel drive, you go to a 4 high. From 4 high, you can just go to 4 low. Then when you have to go to the third mode, it is a 4 LLC, for which you need to press it down and then take it to 4 LLC. So before that, I have to actually take it to 4 low. Now this is 4 low. A 4-wheel drive is something that you don't do it on tarmac. Okay. It's a very clear cut instructions. You don't do it on a tarmac. It's a very straightforward. And in fact, the information that you will find it in all the doors which it mentions. So if I look at it, when I had to explain in English the 4 LLC, it is called as low range center differential lock. And then if you have to look at 4 HLC, which is center differential lock engaged 4-wheel drive. And then if you have to look at 4H, it says full time 4WD, 4-wheel drive. 2H is 2-wheel drive, very simple. Now if I have to explain it as to where all do I use these levers, A 4 LLC is to be used for low speed driving requiring high power. That means when you're stuck in a slush or you're stuck in a place where you really need more power to come out is where you use the 4 LLC. Similarly, in the 4 HLC section, it's like a rough, sandy or a snow covered road that you're driving. And a full-time 4-wheel drive is basically a dry paved road or slippery road. So I think the lights that you see the moment I put it on a 4-wheel drive, that is that the 4-wheel drive has got engaged. Now, one after the other, when you engage the rest of them, is how it runs. Now, this is a 4LC that I've engaged. So I pressed it down and put it up. And this is only done when you will see that the torque of the vehicle has already come up and it will start generating more power as and when I drive. Just to make sure that I come out of that slush or a situation which is completely grave for me to actually come out from there. So the understanding that I get is, see, whenever I engage the 4-wheel drive, it is actually engaged in all the sections, okay, all the 4 wheels. Now how it works is the moment the vehicle decides that, okay, I see that there is one wheel up in the air, automatically it actually passes on the power to the rest of the 3 wheels. So that wheel actually is on the air and is not doing any other function there, because anything that is to do with the 4-wheel drive is basically traction in the wheels, traction in the hubs, so that it actually can propel further for the vehicle to come out.
Apologies for interruption. This break comes with a request to please like, subscribe, and also press the bell icon for notification. We really need your help. It would be really nice if you could help us. Thank you so much. Enjoy your break.
You know, all the international SUVs, you will see the flooring a little high. That's the reason why people find it difficult to come in. Now, when you look at this seats, now they're all motorized seats. You can actually play with the way you want to set it in, how much comfort do you want to actually place it here. Now I can even put the seats, lower it down depending upon how much it is. For sure, there is one thing that I certainly want to talk about is a tall person like me does have a challenge when it comes to a thigh support. You know, that's the only thing that I feel that it needs an improvisation. This section, when I have to do a long drive and I have to rest myself, you know, I'm actually not resting the way the position should be. I'm actually resting it the incorrect way while I'm driving. So that's not the right way to do it. So when I rest it, it should be in the upright straight position where this thigh support should is the same thing. Like, you know, in this also it has the same kind of a thing, but this will not have a better thigh support than what you actually have it in the driver's seat, because I have adjustable levers that I am able to use it, but this doesn't have. The AC is absolutely brilliant despite of it being a four-year-old design. It's got an auto mode. You've got AC vents here as well, the rear vents, and you have AC vents at the third rows as well.
On the AC cooling power, what do you have to say?
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. 5 out of 5. Now look at the leg space that I have. It's ample of leg space. So again, I'm telling you, I'm tall, and that's the reason why you can see the gap like this. But the backrest is absolutely comfortable. There's a lot of room for your, head. Third person can easily be seated in between. However, the person may not be at a very comfortable position while the person is seated. This seat also gets folded at a 60-40 ratio for anybody to go behind. Or, you know, you want your boot space like I have kept it, I can actually completely fold my third seat and then have that enough boot space there.
Give me a rating on the comfort.
I think it's a 4.5. It's a long vehicle, but when you compare with other SUVs that you have in the market, it might be about, say, an inch more or an inch and a half more than the rest of the vehicles that might be there in the market. What I really like about it is the ground clearance. You know, the way the vehicle performs, specifically when you have the ground clearance in place. In this model, you can see the stepney has gone below. And when the stepney is below, certainly it is in comparison to the latest models that you see in the market. And it was a boxy design. And that's how the difference is. Tail lamp, I feel, are absolutely at the place that they're supposed to be. However, I was still looking forward for some to be here below. So that's why I've actually added an aftermarket light here. This is actually an LED light, especially for fog situation driving. Once you apply the brakes, it actually glows light. It's, I think, a 20-watt LED light. So that's how it's pretty powerful. The alloys in OE fitment, they were aluminum in color, but I've actually painted them in black. Tires are changed. So I'm using a Michelin LTX 265 17-inch tires. The erstwhile tire, which was an Apollo tire, so which I don't think from a performance standpoint it has yet gained that space in the market. They are certainly cheap. You can actually purchase them at a cheaper cost, but from a performance overall perspective, I think I wanted to make a change. The complete unit of the headlamp is a stock headlamp. The projector lights are the ones which are used in the low beam section, and the moment you hit the high beam, the other light actually glows on. They are the regular H5 bulbs that you actually get in the market. Now the fog lamps are also stock. So I felt that, in today's date, I drive at distances, and the way the traffic is in India, I wanted to install a DRL. So I've got a DRL installed, aftermarket one, which actually glows all the time when you're traveling. So it's got about 40-watt power. Now all the lights that are aftermarket fitments are all from Aurora. I do not use them on a regular day-to-day drive from a highway perspective or from a city perspective. I only use them when I have to use it as a flasher, or I have to use them in pitch dark places that I'm traveling, and that's how it is. The grill is absolutely the same grill that you find in the stock vehicle. It's just that I've actually changed the color. So this much of portion that you can see, it's gone off. It's because of the speed that I was traveling, and a chip must have hit it and took the paint off. The bonnet design, see, it looks a big bonnet from inside, but when you look at this fall, this is fantastic for you to maneuver at tight places. It is a real skid plate. The skid plate is there to actually protect the engine part, which is exposed, which is outside the body. From a premiumness standpoint, you look at the interiors, and I'm talking again 4 years back. I am absolutely happy with the way the interiors are. The color combination is absolutely fantastic.
Exterior design rating.
I give it a 5. When I look at driving pleasure, I just look at how easy it is for me to maneuver the car, how comfortable I am driving long distances, and how much is the visibility there when I'm actually at the driving position.
Heavy car, hydraulic steering. Must be really tiring.
Not really tiring because of the power steering. I think it works very well.
No, but hydraulic power steering are also a task.
Yes, it is a task, certainly. Especially when there are vehicles which might turn with one circle, I have to do two. Third gear is so good. The second and the third is the one that you actually can keep playing around with. Now the third gear, I'm easily sitting at a 2000 RPM with about 50 kilometers per hour speed, and I'm doing fairly well. It is a high revving engine. However, from a technical standpoint, if you ask me, I don't think there's much of a challenge. But yes, at low speeds, you certainly need to tame the beast if you need to drive. It's not as simple as what you drive any other small car, the kind of maneuverability that you see. But with the size, yes, it is. The sheer size of the engine, that's the reason why the thirstiness is high. But I think, at this sheer size, if you're still getting a 9 and a 10 on the highway, in the city, I think it's a fair enough. When I'm driving in the city, my pressure on the throttle is negligible. So look at this. I'm at a speed of 40 and I've not even pressed my accelerator. I've just rested my foot on the accelerator. I mean, if I had to press, I would actually go like this. But I'm absolutely comfortable, easily driving around. In the city conditions, a 60 to an 80 mark is pleasurable.
When does the turbo kick in?
I've not really checked in, but I think somewhere around at 1.5 to 2.
Yeah? Do you feel the turbo kicking?
Yeah,
Since you haven't checked it, maybe...
I haven't checked it, how exactly it is, because I've always enjoyed the pleasure. I've not looked at the...
Getting pushed into the seat?
Yeah. Like I told you, now I'm doing a 1.5
on the RPM, yeah.
And you can't hear the turbo. Neither do I need the turbo at this point in time. But the moment I hit 2000 and then I want to push further, that's when the turbo kicks in. A lot of times, just to ensure that I'm at a comfortable stage while driving, I choose to stay at a third, where I must be at a second. but it's not complaining, asking me to go down. But yes, I'm comfortable taking it. Now see at a second gear, I'm doing at a 10 speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Now
the car is
certainly,
actually
yes, it is vibrating at
correct.
all.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So it is not supposed to be, because I'm supposed to be driving at a gear of 1. Now see, now here's the turbo that kicks in. RPM is actually the one when the car kicks in.
long nose, heavy engine,
So
heavy
interesting
braking.
part-
But does it
no,
have a nosedive?
No, I'll tell you. That's the interesting part about the vehicle.
Yeah,
It
that's what I
doesn't have a
wanna-
nose drive. Now see, here it is. When I go to different terrains like this, you don't need to think. You look at it. Okay, now look at the nose dives that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Where is the nose dive? The suspensions are hydraulic suspensions. Okay, and when you talk about hydraulic suspensions, they are built in such a way that even if you do a hard braking, the vehicle doesn't nosedive. I went into a pothole. I really did not feel that I went into a pothole, but there was just a thud, and that's it. After that, whenever there was a scenario where I could not probably control to stop while there was a speed breaker, I did jump, but the jump was so smooth because probably of the suspension or the height, that I really did not expect the way it smoothly crossed over without even nose diving in the front after I landed after that breaker. The other interesting thing that you spoke about is the long hood. Now, you'll be surprised to know there are a lot of times when I thought that, okay, now I do not have space enough, so I should actually wait for the other car to pass and then I take a turn. Or maybe while I'm coming out of a parking, I need to swerve out to the right or the left and then move to the normal road. Interestingly, people who have stood in front to actually help me out to turn from that parking or the congested area or in between a traffic jam, they have been constantly, giving me those signals saying, come, and I was actually confused saying, nahi yaar, ab to jagah nahi hai aage. But when I got down to see, there was plethora of space there I could turn. So despite of being the long hood, it falls certainly at a place from where you feel that the understanding or the feeling that you have the vehicle has a long hood is actually a myth. The body roll typically is at a stage when you are turning the vehicle at high speed maybe. That's when certainly, yes, you have that body roll. Otherwise, at low speeds, I don't think anybody has ever complained.
How deep is the water wading capabilities of this car?
I think it is 205 or 215 millimeters. I feel this has got all the features that you require. Whether you name the airbag, the collision controls, the seat belts, all the indicators that are required from a safety standpoint. Say, for example, even if you leave your lights on and you want to shut the car, it keeps on beeping. It will not lock because it says that there is something that you've not done. So you need to actually come back, check the car, and then again lock it. So that's the interesting feature that I have. And other than that, from a safety standpoint, it is always said that seat belts are the best controllers when it comes to safety. If you don't have your seat belts on, don't expect that the airbags are going to come. If you have your seat belts on, 90% of your safety is already on. Once you lock yourself, automatically the lights go off, which actually says that your seat belts are on. And any kind of jerk that you have, it actually holds on to it. It actually completely locks itself, and you're actually not going in front where probably your body or your head or anything that actually goes across and collides. So that way, I think it is covered from a seatbelt standpoint. When I talk about braking, depending upon the size of the vehicle, it's got a wonderful braking system. From its basic position that it is there, if you just push a little, you are actually applying the brakes. So you don't need to put all that effort, to actually apply the brakes. Now it's got disc brakes, and you know that when the system on the disc brake works, it's much more better than what you used to have in the drum brakes.
Give me a rating on 5 for safety.
Well, I think I would give it a 4.5 rating. I go gaga about the build quality because
you look at the doors, you look at the pillars, you look at the sheet of the door that it has. You know, I still remember every time whenever I talk about a build quality, I like tapping on the door and seeing in terms of how does it sound. It is absolutely well built sheet. I don't know what the gauge size may be, but it is absolutely solid. And I remember, you know, once I brushed in a traffic situation, and trust me, I just had my paint come off. That's it. And other than that, the build of the arch that's there, it was absolutely intact. I mean, nowhere did I see it getting even crushed a little, or did I have a dent a little, nothing like that. Just the paint came off. Apart from that, I think this side view mirror, it's been hit a lot of times, but I've never seen it actually breaking down. You know, it might turn all the way to the other side, which you expect that it might crack by now, but again I get it back to normal, and it's absolutely fantastic. So let me tell you one more thing. I was doing an aftermarket light fit, and I had to actually drill a hole in the chassis to get the light fit in such a way that it doesn't shake. Trust in me, the denter or the guy, the fabricator, he really had a hard time to drill a hole in the chassis. And he came back and told me that, sir, I think I've broken 2 of my pins to actually drill the hole. And that's the kind of solid build that this car actually has. And I was really happy. And every time anybody meets me, he just tells me the moment he gets to know that I've picked up this vehicle, saying, sir, solid vehicle. The fitting, the plastic, the plywood kind of a finish, everything absolutely up to the mark. You know, when I'm driving in different kind of terrains, specifically a rocky terrain or a muddy terrain or an off-road, I don't hear those squeaky noises that you get to see in any other car, and they are absolutely fit. So after I drove about 5,000 kilometers with different kind of terrains on the highway, I still did not have to come back and tell anyone saying, yaar, ye nut tight kar de, ya wo bolt tight kar de, yahan se awaaz aa rahi hai, wahan se awaaz aa rahi hai. Nothing like that. It is just the way it is. I just had to come back, get my car, do a pressure wash. That's it. So I think, you know, I've done a check, because I told you some of the after fittings that I was doing. I had to open up a lot of panels to see. There are a lot of you know, engineering that has gone into the build quality as well. And when I talk about third of the door, today I've got a speaker that I've installed. You know, despite of doing an install, an aftermarket install, I don't see any kind of quality, a poor quality of work done inside, in between the door sheet and the interior sheet. I find the quality from a gauge standpoint absolutely fantastic. See, the linings of the door are such that I do not have to push the door hard to close it. It doesn't have any kind of rattling noise when I'm closing it. Even after I have driven it for about 13,000 kilometers, prior to which it was already driven about 48,000 kilometers.
Rating on build.
I give it a 5. Number 1 is Pajero, a no-nonsense car. Number 2 is value for money. Okay, value for money, if I talk about, I'm specifically referring to the enthusiast. Number 3 is a no-problem car. Number 4 is anywhere you want to take it at any point in time, it is always ready, and a very, very capable car. And the 5th thing is the kind of enjoyment that you have while driving this car.
I come to you and I say I'm buying the Pajero. Tell me not to buy the Pajero.
No, I will never tell you not to buy the Pajero.
Why would that be?
The day when I was buying it, a lot of my friends were telling me, how will you source the parts? What will you do? If this happens, that happens, be careful, it's a costly car. Lots of stories around. But believe in me, from the time I have been a part of the Pajero group, I don't think I've faced ever a challenge in sourcing a part, whether it is a Japanese, a Thai or an Indian product. It's always been delivered at the doorstep. If you've liked the review, press the like button, subscribe the channel, and for notification, press on the bell. Thank you so much.
So much pleasure.